It was a win on Sunday for the Cardinals, but at a big price. Albert Pujols is out, so Lance Berkman moves to first. John Jay will be in right field tonight. We're in downtown St. Louis, close to 40,000 expected. The Phillies and Cardinals in game one of their three-game series. And along with Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Delighted to have you with us. But the big question right now, how do the Cardinals make up for the loss of Albert Pujols?
Well, they've been doing it all year long. They've been making up for the loss of players. But this one's a big one. Pujols, the middle of that lineup, best player on the planet. What I think is the starting pitching has to get back to where they were the first 3 weeks. Then you're not so worried about the offense.
We'll talk about pitching when we come back. We're going to see three great ones from the Phillies, and that starts tonight with Roy Halladay. Kyle McClellan goes for St. Louis. A look at what's on tap the next 3 nights. What's on tap as you get a look at the historic Anheuser-Busch Brewery just down the street? What's on tap? Pitching for the Phillies.
Well, they're in first place for a reason, and these three guys are a big part of it. Outstanding starting pitching. We're going to see Lee and Oswalt the remainder of the series, but the best perhaps is Roy Halladay. 2 starts against the Cardinals in his career, one in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform. Gave up just 1 run. Our good pal John Mabry took him deep, but that was it. Halladay also had a start in a Phillies uniform, but that was in Philadelphia in May of 2010. Halladay was outstanding in that game as well. Picked up the victory. A Pujols RBI in the 7th, the only run. Halladay, a very tough customer.
So it's a pair of right-handers here tonight. Roy Halladay, 9-3. Kyle McClellan, 6-3. Phillies and Cardinals here in downtown St. Louis. What a weekend it was. Some of the highlights from that weekend coming up next. The Cards and Phillies, and with Albert Pujols out, Matt Holliday bats third against Kansas City on Saturday. Holliday in the air to center field. At the track, at the wall, goodbye! Two-run shot, Matt Holliday. Matt Holliday, that was his 8th home run. The heroics, though, would not stop on Saturday. Then on Sunday, Skip Schumacher, who is at second base tonight, picks up his first home run ever against a left-handed pitcher. In the air, right center field. Is it gone? Yes! Schumacher, walk-off homer. A lot of fun over the weekend against the Kansas City Royals, in which the Cardinals took 2 of 3 tonight. It's the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll answer some questions from you out there when we come back. Yesterday, fans submitted questions at the Fox Sports Midwest Facebook page. Now Cal Eldred and Rick Horton will answer some of those questions, and the first question is for Rick, and it comes from Bill. Who will be the backup to Berkman at first base?
Well, Lance Berkman doesn't want to play first base every day anyway because the knees might be a problem. Right field's a little easier. Daniel Descalso has some experience at first base, but I think the logical choice is Mark Hamilton, who has just been recalled from AAA.
The next question is for Cal. Marty Phillips, are the injuries Derek Lee and Cliff Lee suffered similar to Albert's? And if so, what chance does Albert have of getting back to his production before his injury?
Well, Marty, Albert's injury is not exactly like both Cliff Floyd and Derek Lee's injury. They both their injuries involved ligament damage in the wrist. Basically, Albert's is a break of the radius down near the wrist, so he should heal much quicker. And yes, I really believe he'll heal up and get back to his usual production.
Rick, your next question comes from Mark Fester. Obviously, losing a player of Albert's caliber hurts, but do you really see it crippling the overall picture? The bigger question to me right now is pitching.
Well, you're exactly right, Mark. Pitching is the most important question at hand. Now, Albert is a star, best player on the planet, I believe, so you're going to miss him. But when the starting pitching goes south, it affects your bullpen, and I think it puts more pressure on the offense. You're going to miss Albert Pujols, but not as much if the starting pitching gets back to the way it was the first 4 weeks of the season.
Cal, this is for you from Rick Sode. Will the Cardinals now focus on getting a hitter at the trade deadline as opposed to relief pitching?
I really think John Mozeliak, heard him talking about it earlier today, that they are going to wait until that trade deadline comes up. And I think with Albert coming back quicker than maybe even possible, I think what the big key is, they will still think about the bullpen if they need that at the time.
Cal, Ricky, thank you very much. We'll do this again on Saturday night. To get involved, go to Facebook.com/Fox Sports Midwest and click the like button. Baseball is coming up. Is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By Chevy. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers. By Southwest Airlines. New Rapid Rewards. Unlimited reward seats and no blackout dates. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. #1 in quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake. Life needs flavor. The flyover just moments ago. Marine Week here in St. Louis. Tony La Russa. And Dave McKay taking in that flyover. Breathtaking just moments ago. Take a look at Charlie Manuel's lineup presented by Southwest Airlines. Rollins, Victorino, and Utley. Then Howard, Polanco, Ibanez, Brown, Ruiz, and the pitcher Roy Halladay. First pitch at 7:15. 83 degrees our game time temperature. Jimmy Rollins backs away from an inside strike. 1-1 strike as Kyle McClellan gets the start this evening for St. Louis and trying to pick up win #7 on the year. Little liner that's caught by Sunday's hero, Skip Schumacher. So there's one away as we look at the defense presented by Dobbs, Holiday, Rasmus, and Jay. Descalso, Terrio on the left side of the infield with Skip and Berkman on the right, McClellan and Molina. The battery, and our scout report here on right-hander Kyle McClellan.
Important start for McClellan. His curveball is a key pitch for him. He needs to keep the ball down. He's given up a team-high 10 home runs, and the real question, how deep can he go? 5 innings in his first start after coming off the disabled list.
Shane Victorino, the flying Hawaiian, a switch hitter, the center fielder. Guy that plays the game very hard. A former Rule 5 pickup. Pretty good Rule 5 pickup,
I'll say.
Trying to slap it the other way. It's popped up. Calling for it, the shortstop Terrio, and he's got it for out #2. Rick, you were talking about Dave Duncan getting with Kyle McClellan and trying to ease the pain in that hip that put him on the DL.
Yeah, and one of the conclusions is to have him work from the first base side of the rubber so he doesn't throw quite so much against his body. By landing that front foot towards the third base side, he does throw across his body anyway, but this is an attempt to open him up a little bit to put less strain on that hip.
Last time we saw the Phillies, it was a 2-game sweep, and the Phillies were without Victorino and without this guy at the plate, Chase Utley, who's hitting .253, just 24 games since he came off the disabled list, and in his career he's a .324 hitter against the Cardinals. 0-2.
So the Cardinals have known injury this year, so have the Philadelphia Phillies, and it's a different lineup without Utley in the middle of it. We did see kind of a depleted lineup earlier in the season, and this team really hitting less than .250 as a team. That's a bit of a surprise to me.
Sure is. 0-2 is tap foul. Chase Utley, last 7 years, so going back to 2004, leads all major league second basemen, home runs, RBIs, extra base hits, and total bases. He is the complete package at second base.
Charlie Manuel, one of my favorites. My last manager as a professional player was Charlie Manuel.
That tails away and a strikeout for Con McClellan. 9 pitches in the first. Cardinals coming up. Day out here at the ballpark. Helping us out and our television crew. Let's take a look at the Cardinal lineup for Tony La Russa this evening, presented by Southwest Airlines with Terrio, Jay, and Holiday. Then Berkman, Rasmus, Molina, Descalso, McClellan, Skip Schumacher is batting ninth. Cardinals face one of the best, if not the best, in baseball tonight. 2-time Cy Young Award winner Roy Halladay. Many times Halladay will finish what he starts. Guy that goes deep into games. So you get a look at the numbers on Terrio. Average above 300 now at 303. 1 ball, 1 strike.
We're going to have to get used to this Cardinal lineup without Albert Pujols in the middle of it. So we're going to see some shakeup. We're going to see different combinations, I'm sure. Berkman will play some first. We may see Hamilton play first, who was recalled from AAA. Daniel Descalso, Dan, we were talking before the game, has said that he's had some experience playing at the AAA level at first. So we're going to have to mix and match until Albert's back.
2-2. Calling balls and strikes, Mike Easterbrook. Marty Foster down at first. Bill Welke is at second base, and Jeff Nelson, the crew chief, is down at third. 2-2 the count on the Cardinal shortstop Terrio. What a year for Roy Halladay. His first season with the Phillies, he throws a perfect game. Then a no-hitter in postseason play. He wins the Cy Young Award. He also won it in 2003. Upstairs in a walk. The defense behind the big right-hander with Ibanez, Victorino, and Dominic Brown in right. Polanco, Rollins, Utley, and Howard along the infield. And the battery is Halladay and Carlos Ruiz.
Scouting report on Roy Halladay. He has a plus fastball slider, not a bad split to go along with it. And that walk notwithstanding, he has outstanding control. And you're going to need to find a way to manufacture runs against this right-hander. You're just not going to see him beat himself.
Pitch upstairs to John Jay for ball one. On deck, normally the spot occupied by Albert Pujols. That goes to Matt Halladay. And Lance Berkman will bat cleanup in this lineup. An interesting question. Will they run more without Pujols in the lineup? And goodbye. Terrio is gunned down by Ruiz. That might be an answer.
I think it is an answer, and I think it also is an answer when you're trying to find a way to manufacture a run against Roy Halladay. Press it early on. Problem is John Jay swings through it. Hit and run.
Foxmo brought to you by Plaza Tire Service. And an easy call out at second. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, you gave us all the numbers, Rick. What is it about Halladay that separates him from other guys that have very good stuff, but yet they don't win?
Well, I don't think there are many guys that have as good a stuff as Halladay. And when I mean stuff, you talk to different people in baseball, and they will define stuff differently. Not just velocity, it's movement, it's late movement, it's movement to a corner. I think that's what makes him nasty. Ball moves to a corner most of the time. And he has a good assortment.
Said the last couple of years, the cutter has really become a tremendous pitch for him. The 2-2. And he went. So Jay strikes out. First strikeout for Roy Halladay tonight. And there's 2 away as Halladay steps in.
Late recognition by John Jay. Thought it was a fastball, and there's the, I guess you'd probably call that a split, I would say. Might have been a cutter. Had a lot of break to it, a lot of late break.
So here's Matt Halladay, who's hitting .347. Well, tonight is the first time that Roy Halladay will pitch at Busch Stadium. First time that Kyle McClellan will start against the Phillies. All his appearances in relief. And that's hit out of play. It's also the first time the Cardinals are back in first place since June 11th. They lead by a half game over Milwaukee. Milwaukee gets Tampa Bay tonight. Halladay on the left, Halladay on the right. Here's a 1-1.
Sure. I think Al Raboski's done a great job over the years of clearly stating that when you're Kyle McClellan, you are not playing against Halladay right now. Your job is to get Phillies out. And you can't get into a 1-to-1 matchup with a guy that's as good as Halladay is. You've got to get that out of your mind and just pitch to the Phillies, get them out, and see where you're at the end of the day.
I would imagine, though, it'd be hard not to.
Oh, I agree. It's a mental exercise.
A 2-2. Outside.
You're almost better not watching, frankly. Just let me know when it's time to go back out again.
But you also talk to guys like a Loesch that you see there that'll go tomorrow against Cliff Lee, and they'll tell you it's fun to go up against the best. At this level, these guys are the best in the world at what they do, and then you have the best of the best, which is Roy Halladay, or the Phillies lineup, which is very good. Surprisingly, 2 walks here in the first inning from Roy. Brings in switch hitting Lance Berkman. He's hitting .308 with 17 home runs, and he's driven in 51. Two outs and a runner at first. That's Matt Holliday. Short lead there. Outfield shades in the pull just a bit. Slowly hit towards second. Chase Utley is there, makes the play. 18 pitches for Roy Halladay here in the first. No damage done. Ryan Howard, the St. Louisan, coming up. Teams below 500, the Phillies have had their way with those teams. Best in Major League Baseball at 32-12.
Well, it makes you a winner if you take care of the teams that are below 500. Teams you're supposed to beat them bad. 727 is a great winning percentage. Best in baseball. The Phillies top the East. The Cardinals now, all of a sudden, Dan, back on top in the Central. That's almost hard to believe to me.
All the injuries, rough schedule on the road. Good portion of this season already. Cardinals have played 40 games away from Busch Stadium. 15 homers for the big man, Ryan Howard. He's already driven in 58. 8 plate appearances in the previous series. You see what he's done at Busch Stadium. He's just absolutely destroyed pitching. But 8 plate appearances in the previous 2-game set. Walked 3 times, struck out 3 times, and no hits.
Good location on the last 2 pitches from McClellan. He threw him a changeup on 2-0. Then he got the fastball right to that outside corner and down. Probably the safest place against Howard is that fastball down and away if you can get it there.
3-2.
That was a changeup that slipped out of his hand. It happens.
Ryan Howard has hit a home run at Busch Stadium every year it's been open. Family and friends here. And that's taken just a little bit high. And it's a walk to Howard. McClellan thought he had a strikeout. I think Howard was saying, you know what, don't worry about it. I think you may have struck me out.
High strike. It's almost as if he wasn't sure it was ball 4 either.
Now Polanco. A short lead at first with Howard. Polanco hitting behind Ryan Howard in this lineup. Tries to take it to right, and he does, but the catch will be made here by Jay. And there's one out. Raul Ibanez batting .243. 8 homers. He's driven in 32. Battle of first place teams here tonight. The Phillies lead the East by 4.5 in front of Atlanta. Washington and New York 9.5 games out. Then Florida 13 out. And the Marlins have lost 11 in a row. New manager with them, 80-year-old Jack McKeon. You thought I was crazy the other day when I said they're looking at Jack McKeon. I don't blame you either. He's 80 years old.
Well, Whitey Herzog didn't think it was unbelievable. I spent the day with him at Tony La Russa's golf tournament yesterday. I was actually riding along with Whitey, and he has great respect for Jack and actually replaced him in Kansas City at one time. And Whitey's at 79. He knows he's sharp as a tack. He said he'll get him back in this. That was his comment. He'll get him back in this race. You watch.
Just wonder about the travel.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's hard enough for guys that are 40, 50 years old to do it, but to be 80 and walking in hotel rooms at 4 in the morning and playing a day game the next day, I mean, that kind of stuff isn't easy to do.
Agreed.
Could be a double play ball. Out at second. Double play for 6-3. Rasmus Molina Descalso coming up. Throughout the summer, this week's dynamic deal. Think about it this weekend. Friday night, pavilion level seats are just $19. And Friday night is also a fireworks night. Then on Sunday, it's $19 pavilion level seats and terrace level seats for just $10. Head now to Cardinals.com and get your seats. As Colby Rasmus will lead it off for the Redbirds. Sunday with those $10 tickets, you also get a free hot dog and Coke. And it's also a duffel bag giveaway for the kids. That's all on Sunday, and fireworks on Friday night. Rasmus batting .258. 5 homers, 28 driven in. You talk so much, Rick, about, well, this guy's got to step up and this guy's got to be better with Pujols out. It's a collective effort, but you would like to see Colby maybe go on one of those hot streaks that he's been accustomed to.
Well, it's an opportunity for a lot of guys, but Colby is going to get the big RBI opportunities. When you get into that 5th spot, that's a production spot. You cannot afford for that spot to have a lot of offers in back-to-back games, and Rasmus certainly capable of getting hot. Tough assignment, though, for all the Cardinals today with Halladay.
Mentioned that he threw 18 pitches in the first inning, and if his pitch count gets high, it's one of the guys in the game today that you really don't worry about that with, because he goes deep and he has a ton of complete games.
Very durable guy. Very interesting that he had 2 walks in the first inning. That's very uncharacteristic. He paints Rasmus there. Cliff Lee had some control issues if Cardinal fans remember the outing that he had in St. Louis, Cliff Lee also impeccable control, walked 6 Cardinals, a career high in his outing here.
And we'll see him tomorrow night. Oswalt on Thursday. Yadier Molina takes a ball. Yadi's hitting .297. Oswalt will hook up with buddy Chris Carpenter. The Cardinals saw him as well in the previous series, and after the Storms ripped through his offseason home, he left the club for a week. Then he was experiencing some issues with his back, and so he was on a pitch count that night, and eventually his former teammate Lance Berkman won the ball game for the Cardinals with a walk-off hit. A 2-1 pitch.
Halliday just has so many weapons. He really doesn't throw the ball straight ever. He's got a ball that goes down. He's got the cutter that goes right to left. He's got the splitter that goes down. He's got the sinker that goes down and in. He has the fastball that he rides up and in, and you just don't know what to look for.
We've seen it here, and you've talked about it, but it's a late movement, really good late movement on his pitches. Tough to center him up. Polanco wants it and puts it away for the out. Back on May 17th, that's when we saw the Philadelphia Phillies with that 2-game series. And it was Lance Berkman with a chance to win it. And he delivered with a shot into center field. And a walk-off win for St. Louis. Here is Daniel Descalso, who's sitting .242, 1 home run. He's driven in 21. Two balls, no strikes, 2 outs, and nobody on. That is a fair ball. Descalso will dig for 2. Standing up the double. So it hit the bag, and Polanco had to chase it down, and standing up Daniel Descalso. Cardinals have a runner in scoring position. You don't get many shots like this against Halliday. And this is one of those spots where really you think this doesn't work to your advantage to have the pitcher batting 8th. Just one of those times where the pitcher comes up with a man in scoring position.
Well, Tony has said that he's got a little mental tick mark on one side when it works, one time when it doesn't, and he believes that it works more often than it doesn't. And I'd like to see that list.
So you don't believe in the list?
Well, I don't know. It's a mental list for him, so I don't want to venture inside his brain because he has a lot of things swirling in there, and he's a Hall of Fame manager, and he believes that it's a good thing to do to get your offense jump started.
I'd like to hear that Whitey Herzog was part of Tony La Russa's golf tournament.
Yeah, that was great. We had a great time together, and a lot of former Cardinals, current Cardinals out there for that tournament to raise money for ARF, and well attended, and just a great day out at Glen Echo.
On deck, it's Skip Schumacher, 1 ball and 2 strikes. McClellan puts it in play, but foul. He went through that list of pitches that Halliday has: splitter, changeup, cutter, 4-seam, 2-seam. If you're a hitter, you're thinking, what's next?
Well, that's the problem, and they're all put-away pitches too. It's one thing to have the pitch, and it's another thing to have it as a plus pitch. When we say plus pitch, we mean that's a dominating pitch where you can get an out and get a strikeout with when you've got 2 strikes on a batter.
And a strikeout here of Cal McClellan. A special guest coming up 3 strikeouts for Halladay so far. Marine Week here in St. Louis, and joining us, Colonel Topko, the Marines, and also Sergeant Nicole Tannehill, who is also from St. Louis, and we understand a big Cardinal fan. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, tell us a little bit about Marine Week, and I'll start with you, Colonel. What is this all about?
Once a year, the Marine Corps picks a city, and we're looking at making St. Louis one of our foundation cities of 5 cities where the Marine Corps gets to come and show the American public who we are, what we do as an amphibious force. They know who we are on the coast because of what we do on ships and coming to shore and raiding the beach like we did in World War II. It's our chance to come home, and we got thousands of Marines from the local area, such as Sergeant Tannehill, who gets to come home and show everybody what she does as a Marine and what we do as a Marine Corps.
You're getting goosebumps talking about the Marines.
I've been doing it for 28 years. I absolutely love the Marine Corps.
That is awesome. So again, Colonel Topko is with us, and also Sergeant Nicole Tannehill, and that's it out of play. Dominic Brown is the hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike as we're underway here in the top of the 3rd. And Sergeant, let's talk about being a female in the military, and in particular with the Marines. What has that experience been like for you?
It's always a challenge, but it is amazing. You get to experience a lot of things that most females in the world don't get the chance to experience, so it's an incredible challenge.
What are some of those experiences?
Climbing a rope, rappelling off of a rope, standing up to men, and being heard, which often doesn't happen for most women. So,
and I know, Colonel, that's something that you wanted to touch upon with our visit here tonight, diversity inside the Corps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you saw Major General Bailey, one of our senior African-American generals in the Marine Corps. The beauty of the Marine Corps is that we are based solely off of work ethic. Those who perform excel. And we don't look at color, we don't look at religion, we don't look at gender. I can say Sergeant Tannehill is one of my top 5 sergeants I've ever had in the Marine Corps.
That's great.
And that's competing against men in combat. And that's the beauty of who we are and what we do. And I tell you, with that M1A1 Abrams that we got across the street, if Halladay keeps pitching well, we can fix that with 1 round pretty quickly.
I'm sure you could. I don't know if we should say that, but you just did.
I can say whatever I want because I'm a war fighter.
That's right. That's right.
And this is the Cardinals Nation last time I checked.
Oh, it is.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
You bet. Tell us, for people that do go over and see some of the machinery that you have over there and the weaponry, what will people see? What will the general public take in?
They're going to see everything in the Marine Corps inventory, from artillery to the smallest weapon that we use. A1 Abrams tanks, our artillery, our HIMARS box of rockets that guys are using in Afghanistan today. That's the artillery piece. That's the 155 howitzer. We have every aircraft coming in, and on Friday and Saturday, we're going to do what Lewis and Clark were not able to do, and that is to really attack the Western frontier and show them how it could have been done Marine Corps style.
You're making me a little nervous.
Oh, it's going to be a blast. You're going to see everything. I mean, Marines sliding out of ropes, out of helicopters. We were out on a recon boat with my recon platoon today in the Mississippi River just having fun.
Oh, that's great.
LAVs coming to shore. And the arch steps is the seating area for everybody to see what we do. We're going to hover a Harrier under the arch. The new Osprey, the transformer aircraft under the arch. They're going to see everything that we can bring to bear against the bad guys.
Here is Roy Halladay after the single by Ruiz, a one-out single. Halladay squaring to bunt, looks at his strike. We had the flyover. What was the flyover? Tell us about that.
That is the MV-22 Osprey that is going to replace the CH-46 that's been in our inventory since the 1960s. The 46 that you see down in front of the arch has been in our inventory since pre-Vietnam. The MV-22 gives us an ability to fly like a regular airplane and a helicopter at the same time, come from way over the horizon and fly deep into the enemy territory, either bringing supplies or personnel to the fight. It's an incredible capability, and they'll see a full demonstration of that on Friday and Saturday.
For Marines that are over, and I'm assuming you've been to Afghanistan, Iraq?
I have not.
Okay, you guys do obviously talk to those that have been over there. What's the morale like? What's it like when you talk to your friends and your comrades?
I've got 2 tours in Iraq and 2 tours in Afghanistan, and there is no place we would rather be. It's like if you ask Albert Pujols if he would like to be in the World Series and he says no, you're wrong. It's what you pay us to do. It's what we've trained to do. It's what we volunteered to do. It is our World Series, and there's nothing we'd rather be doing for our nation.
Sergeant, when you see the young men that were being sworn in today, what's the next step for them? What are they about to get themselves into?
A world of pain, for one thing. But then, just like I said before, the biggest challenge of their lives, because you're stripped away from everything that you know, everything that you've ever known your entire life. So it's the biggest change that they'll go through.
We promise a haircut and a hard time.
It sounds like it, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I think Lebowski needs one of those guys.
I've been working with Al. We like his hair, though. He's worked long and hard to achieve that hair.
There is Albert Pujols. By the way, I understand you played a round of golf or two with Al. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. He's a superb golfer.
And when you have a bad shot, you like to hit the deck?
I do a lot of push-ups on the golf course.
So what do? You do the knuckle?
I do on the knuckles, yeah.
On the golf course?
Anywhere, really.
Why would you do that to yourself? Golf is meant to be, give yourself a break.
I love golf with a passion, but I don't get to play enough. And then when I see someone of the high PGA caliber as Al Rabowski, hit just the sweet spot on a ball, and I'm unable to attain that level of greatness, it breaks my heart a little bit, and I have to thrash myself and feel a certain sense of pain.
Are you sure you're playing with the same guy I know?
I am.
Because he'd be doing a lot of push-ups.
I'm not kidding. I mean, Lee Trevino, Al Rabowski, I use those names in the same sentence routinely.
So, Sergeant, what would you tell someone that's on the fence, potentially thinking about joining the Marine Corps? What would you tell them to try to convince them this is something that they should do?
It's the most exciting way to grow up, that's for sure. To make a difference within yourself, this is the only choice, in my eyes, that you have.
How old are you?
26.
And when did you go in?
2004.
Wow. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Taken for a ball outside. 2 balls and no strikes. So Marine Week is here in St. Louis. We're joined by Colonel Tomko and Sergeant Nicole Tannehill. Where are you from, Sergeant? What part of St. Louis?
St. Charles County.
Okay. And you grew up a Cardinal fan, obviously?
Of course.
So when you went in the Marines, were you able to stay up with what was going on with the Cardinals at all?
No.
You're completely shut out from everything, right?
During boot camp. I was in Camp Pendleton in California, and we had a few games out there that we got to go to. It was awesome.
Colonel, boot camp, how tough is it?
I've been to both boot camp and officer candidate school. I grew up in Quincy, Illinois, right up the river, and
sure.
Our home, we had the Quincy Cubs. So I remember as a kid sitting in the barbershop with my dad, and there would be fist fights in the street, in the parking lot between Cubs and Cardinals fans. So I grew up right. And there are recon Marines on the screen right now. There they are. Those are the guys that were out on the boat on the river today, and now they're drinking beer. Good on them. But grew up a Cardinals fan. Think about Bob Gibson. I remember as a PFC coming through Lambert Field, and Lou Brock owned that baseball store out there at Lambert Field. And I remember walking through there, and this gentleman walked in this fur coat and this hat, and I went, "Oh my God, that's Lou Brock." And I said, "Sir, will you please sign my baseball?" And he signed my Cardinals baseball cap for me. and have had it forever. Unfortunately, when we do a lot of moves in the military, a lot of stuff gets lost, broken. Somebody stole my Lou Brock baseball hat, and I'm going to find him one day, and I'll take that same tank, and I'm going to destroy them for stealing my Lou Brock ball cap.
Colonel, Sergeant, great seeing you.
Oh, yes, sir. A pleasure. Thank you so
very much for everything you guys do for us.
Go Cardinals.
You bet. No score midway. Your favorite Redbirds to this year's All-Star Game by voting up to 25 times online at Cardinals.com. Vote early and vote often. No score as we move to the bottom of the third. I feel a little bit more relaxed now that Colonel Tomko is out and Rick's back in. That's an intimidating gentleman. And a ground ball hit to second. Utley is there for the out. Schumacher retired.
Makes you want to go climb a hill, doesn't he?
I'll tell you what, he's an impressive figure, and we had a chance to visit with him before we came on the air, too. Neat man, and we can't thank the men and women, armed forces, enough for what they do so we can come out here and enjoy baseball, freedoms. I still think one of the great telecasts we ever had was last year going to Iraq and visiting with the men and women based, many of them from St. Louis, and a chance for them to watch the game.
It was the middle of the night there, wasn't it?
It was. Yep. We heard from so many families here afterwards and what that meant for them to see their son or their husband, daughter. 1-1 pitch to Terrio. Walked his first time up.
McClellan looks sharp tonight, Dan, and Halladay started out a little off with his command, but unfortunately for the Cardinals, he's starting to settle down a bit, and I think he's sharp as well. So runs will be at a premium here. If you get somebody on base, you can't afford to miss the sacrifice as they did with Halladay. In the last inning, you've got to move runners over. The hit and run didn't work early on with John Jay. You just don't know how many opportunities you're going to get. You're just going to have to make the best of them.
A 3-2 pitch. Slicing down the right field line and out of play. A byproduct of trading for Roy Halladay was what he has done apparently with some of the young pitchers in the organization. Charlie Manuel said there is not a harder worker he has been around, and a lot of those young pitchers have followed what Halladay does. He gets to, in spring the facility around 5:30, 5:45. He's the first one there. Many times the last one to leave. Deep in the hole. Nice play, Jimmy Rollins. Cy Young race. Take a look at the top 5 guys. Halladay now 9-3. Wainwright finished second. He's out for the year. Jimenez 2-7. Hudson 6-6. And then Josh Johnson, who's been put on the 60-day DL. We understand that Adam Wainwright will join us Thursday night for a handful of innings. Very nice of him to stop by on Friday night. Talk about his experience in Joplin with Jim Hayes.
That'll be great to have Adam up here and help us break down the game a little bit. I think he knows the game. What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
And I tell you what, he knows the game. He likes being around it in uniform. And I mentioned it when it happened, Dan. Very seldom would it work for somebody to stay in uniform with his team when you know that you cannot contribute the rest of the season. And Adam Wainwright is making it work. And he's got the kind of mental attitude and the selflessness that would be necessary to do that. And again, I just would not want guys just hanging around sulking.
3-0 here on John Jay. Understand that Wainwright will start throwing a baseball within the next week. They're hoping that by the end of the summer, the season, maybe you'd see him spinning off a few curveballs just to get a feel for it, and should be good to go by next year. 3-2. What will this team look like next year? A lot of decisions on big name players coming up. Strikeout after falling behind 3-0. Halladay comes back and strikes out his 4th of the night. No score after 3. Chase Utley leads it off for the Phillies. We're underway here in the 4th. 1 hit aside, and there is no score. Both pitchers, we've talked a lot about Halladay, but both these pitchers look sharp tonight.
And again, for McClellan, Dan, keeping the ball down a key. 10 home runs on the season. He and Chris Carpenter lead the team in that department with 10. And the problems are when he's up. And this is certainly a team that can hit home runs. When you look at the Phillies, a lot of power in the middle of that lineup.
In the air out to deep right field. That will stay in the ballpark. John Jay makes the catch. Don't forget, tomorrow night we're leaving the booth and broadcasting from the Champions Club, one of the premier locations at Busch Stadium. Expecting visits from Fred Bird and other special guests. Join us tomorrow, Cards and Phillies, and we'll be live at the Champions Club. Will Larson is here and helping us out up in the booth. And that's pulled foul off the bat of Ryan Howard. Will is auditioning for Rick's job.
Is that what you're doing? Wow.
And he's got a pretty good chance to get it.
Yes, he does. Thanks, Dan.
How would you pitch to Ryan Howard outside of carefully?
Are you asking Will or are you asking me?
I'll ask you.
Oh, okay. Carefully is the right answer.
Yeah.
I mean, I like down and away. He's trying to throw the curveball down and away. He gets the call strike there, but I think the fastball down and away, Howard can leave the park to left field also, but it's a lot harder to do it. You make a mistake on the inner half, and he's looking for it. You really can't necessarily throw the ball by him in either. So I would keep breaking balls down, try to get him to hit the ball on the ground if possible. And the one thing that makes Ryan Howard an outstanding hitter is he's also very selective, much like our guy that happens to have a broken forearm.
Outside, and it's 3-2. Going back to that fly ball that was hit by Chase Utley. The Phillies ballpark, that's probably gone.
Agreed.
You know, it is very much a hitter's ballpark.
6 left-handed batters in the lineup today for the Phillies. 2 of them switch hitters.
1-out walk to Howard. And Kyle has walked 3 so far tonight, twice to Howard.
Kyle has a little bit of a odd hitch in his delivery there where he kind of brings his elbow in, then up on top. That's a curveball. Finishes off a stiff front leg. Again, the torque that creates, the pressure that creates on his hip is what really hurt him to begin with in his start before going on the disabled list. But he really has shown no effects of that. It seems like he's 100% healthy. You don't see any tentativeness in Kyle McClellan, and I think that's a good sign.
Here's Polanco. Polanco flied out to right. First time up. Cardinals have turned a double play. That was 4-6-3 off the bat of Ibanez back in the second inning. Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin with you. Rick will be on the post-game show along with Al Raboski and Pat Paris coming up after the game. That's taken for a strike. Polanco chokes up with 2 strikes and looks at a ball. Hunter Pence does that. Polanco is one that does it, and I can't really think of anybody else that I see choke up with 2 strikes.
I think if I had 9 Placido Polancos and I put them all out in every position,
win.
I'd beat you.
You're going to win.
I might want a better pitcher, but maybe 8 in Halladay.
That'll work too. Right field, and John Jay will make the catch, gets himself in a position to throw, but Howard is not going anywhere. Polanco 0 for 2, twice he's flied out to right, and it brings in Ibanez. Raul Ibanez, longtime Kansas City Royal and Seattle Mariner. There's not one hitter over 300 in this lineup for the Phillies, and Ibanez is 0 for 2. Holiday, Berkman, Rasmus coming up. There's no score. for one spectacular night. That's Tuesday, July 12th. Mark it down on your calendars. It's the All-Star Game, only on Fox at 7 in high definition. Total of 2 hits so far. The hit by the Cardinals was a double by Daniel Descalso off the bag at third. Holiday's first time up walked. Carlos Ruiz with the lone base hit for the Philadelphia Phillies. You see a lot of that, Rick, with Roy Halladay. A lot of guys that take a healthy cut, but yet because of that late movement, you just can't center it up. A lot of foul balls.
Yeah, it's tough to center it up. That's actually a term that Tony La Russa has used over the years. He talks about a hitter being able to center the ball. What he's talking about is you're hitting it on the sweet part of the bat with your normal good swing. If you are kind of jammed, your hands are too close to your body, you're hitting the ball maybe more down on the label, you're really not going to get the results you're looking for.
Here's a ground ball foul. Jose Oquendo was ready to throw to second. You see that?
He could still do it.
He could pick it. One ball and 2 strikes. Good rip by Halladay just to stay alive. 1-2. And a ground ball that's hit left side. Rollins off balance throw, and he got him. Nice pick. Ryan Howard on the other side.
Rollins is a very gifted shortstop. We saw him lay back on a ground ball that Terrio hit early on because he trusts his arm. And there's that arm at work again. He throws his ball low, scooped at first base. And I was watching Matt Holliday the whole way down, just hoping that he was going to have a nice and easy kind of jaunt down the first base line and not have any incidents.
I'm sure it's been told to him, like you just explained it, ease when you run, but you get into that competitive spirit of a game, and these guys compete at the highest level. It's tough to say, well, I'm only going to go about 80% because of this quad. Some guys do it, but it's still very, very tough to mentally make sure that you do that.
And you know what's tough too is the fans are out here to see you play 100%, and you want to give that to them. And you know, Roberto Clemente, the great Clemente line is, if a kid bought a ticket to come watch me to play today in Pittsburgh, I want that kid to go home and see me play at 100% every single thing I do, which I think is a great line, and players should live by that. But if you're being told for the sake of the team, you have to kind of shift it into low gear, maybe even in the outfield on the bases, because we want you to stay in this lineup with your bat, then you feel like you're shortcutting the fans a little bit too, but you can't really explain it every time.
There's a broken bat. Looked to be the cutter there, and on the hands of Lance Berkman. Every Friday, don't forget about our Bush Bash, and this Friday it'll feature Kerry Robinson. For details and future player appearances, visit cardinals.com/promotions. To get out there and you see Kerry Robinson, ask him about what he's doing these days and scouting and some of the young players he's had a chance to see. Hired this year by the Cardinals. Stepping on the bag, Ryan Howard. McClellan back to work as we head to the 5th. tonight. What season did the Cardinals have the highest average with runners in scoring position? 1977 hit 299. This year is right about there. 300 this year.
Al would have been on that team, would he?
Yes.
Believe 77?
Yes.
We'll have to ask him.
Might have been in Kansas City.
May have.
Here's Dominic Brown, who's hitting 217. 4 home runs. He's driven in 11. And a fly ball in the air to right. John Jay under it. And that's the first out. Brown is 0 for 2, and it brings in Carlos Ruiz. Ruiz, the lone base hit tonight. But McClellan has been dealing with base runners because of 3 walks.
One of the things when you face a lineup like the Phillies, as powerful as some of the guys are in this lineup, like Ryan Howard, there's a thought as a starting pitcher, I've got to get the guys out I'm supposed to get out. It's almost, we talked earlier about the Phillies beating the teams below 500. As a starting pitcher, I've got to get 7, 8, 9 out, because sooner or later I'm going to have to face Utley and Howard, and I don't want there to be people on base at the time.
Base hit up the middle for Ruiz. Carlos 2 for 2, and it brings in Roy Halladay. The Krispy Kreme doesn't deal. If the Cardinals get 9 hits tonight, you're invited into Krispy Kreme tomorrow to receive a dozen of their original glazed donuts for only $2.99. Stop by one of the 4 St. Louis area Krispy Kremes for this sensational deal. Halladay gets the bunt down. Berkman, though, goes to second. Out there to first. Safe. That play with a bunt and a left-handed first baseman, much easier for him to make that throw as opposed to seeing Pujols try to make this.
Yeah, no doubt, but something tells me Albert would have tried it too, because he is not afraid to throw it. Very smooth play for Berkman. Not a lot of experience over there at first base this year, but being left-handed, he's got the throw that is perfectly lined up, and you make the pitcher run a little bit.
So Halladay is your runner at first base, and back to the top of the lineup, Jimmy Rollins.
Berkman playing behind him with the left-handed hitting Jimmy Rollins. Think it makes sense to do that. Wouldn't expect Halladay to go.
Jimmy Rollins, a former MVP, and he is a free agent to be for the Philadelphia Phillies. One ball, one strike. 3-time All-Star, 3 Gold Gloves, MVP. He's been a 30-30 man. He's had a very, very good career.
I think of him as a rookie hitting a home run off of Steve Klein and
Yes.
watching it, and Steve Klein yelling at him all the way around the bases. That's one of the funniest things I've seen on the field.
But the old vet.
Paraphrase, Steve kept saying, "You're a rookie, you can't watch a home run yet." Something like that.
Yeah, I would say it was a little different.
Okay. Like I said, I'm paraphrasing.
Some words that probably should not or will not be repeated.
But he literally followed him around.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the best part. He didn't just
Right
yell
around
from
the
the
mound.
mound. He walked around the mound and kind of followed him all the way around the bases, and that's what he remembers about his first big home run.
Berkman steps on the bag, and the Phillies strand a runner. Molina leads it off when we come back. St. Louis as we move to the bottom of the 5th. As we take a look at our Home Depot doing more on defense. The play by Berkman to get the lead man and a near double play just moments ago. Something that is worked on time and again with Jose Oquendo and Joe Patini.
One thing we talked about in spring training about those two is how important they would be. Think about the number of double play combinations the Cardinals have had this year. I mean, astronomical number. You've had Cosma play short in second. You've had Tyler Green play short in second. You've had Alan Craig at second. Schumacher, Punto. I mean, that's a lot of combinations. And those two guys getting this team to play as good a defense as they can play without necessarily being gifted as defenders, I just think their job's not done yet, but so far so good.
You know, we always say that baseball players spend more time with their teammates and coaches than they do their own families. I'll tell you what, there might not be two guys with each other any more than Oquendo and Patini. We get on the bus.
Yep.
They're sitting next to each other. On the planes, in the same row with each other. Just talking baseball. How can they improve on some of the guys that they have?
And they really do have, I would say, a great connection in the way they understand the game to be played. I mean, not that they never disagree, but, and there's always healthy disagreement in this game, but I think those two see what it means to be a professional and see what it means to be a player the same way. And so they really feed off of each other. And then interesting, you've got, you know, an American player played with the Giants. You've got a guy born in Puerto Rico, and all of a sudden these two guys are great friends and really inseparable in a lot of ways. And just kind of neat to see how baseball's brought them together.
You have so many players that are coming from the Dominican, Venezuela, Puerto Rico. And in many ways, it's important to make sure and have a guy like Jose Oquendo that not only can talk baseball with those guys, but literally speak their language, help them with the customs, the food, where to go. Well, we've seen that even with guys that might have been in professional baseball for a handful of years, but they still, when they get to the big league level, may not speak English. So, well, you know, Jose's role is even greater than you might even look at what he does on the field. Base hit for Yadier Molina.
And just to finish that thought, Dan, you've got people that have traveled abroad, and, you know, say you're in your 40s or 50s, you get a chance to go to Europe. There's Molina's swing, jammed a bit, but good result. You get a chance to go to Europe, you realize how important it is to have a guide, somebody helping you.
Yes.
Now, what if you're 19 years old, and not only are you visiting that country, you're living there, and you're working there.
And you're alone.
And you're alone.
There's no mom, no dad, you know.
It is very difficult experience for a lot of the Latin players, and it is important to have at least one coach. Now, Tony La Russa also speaks Spanish. Very helpful.
Here's Descalso as the other base hit tonight for the Cardinals. Wound up being a double off the bag at third. We have over 40,000 here tonight. A Tuesday night and over 40,000 here at Busch Stadium.
Pitcher batting eighth, I think, comes into play here. You won't bunt Descalso. It's not as likely that you'll bunt Descalso with the pitcher hitting next.
.68 the pitch count for Roy Halladay. One ball, one strike.
Think it's logical, Dan, that if Skip Schumacher were on deck, that you might be bunting here?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt. Since coming to Philly, Roy Halladay in that trade with the Toronto Blue Jays, 30 wins, 363 innings, and an ERA that is third best in that time in all of Major League Baseball. I'm in total agreement with you, Rick. I think you would, especially, you know, knowing that runs are at a premium, and you've got to try to generate some type of offense against Halladay.
Yeah, it's the fifth inning, but it feels like it's the eighth inning in some ways. It feels like, boy, how many chances are we going to get? We've got a leadoff base hit here. We better capitalize here.
And the same probably will be said tomorrow with Cliff Lee.
Right.
And we used to always say it when Oswalt was pitching with Houston. We'll see him on Thursday. 2-2. So the Blue Jays trade Roy Halladay, and there's Cliff Lee, who re-signed with the Phillies. Teammate Chris Carpenter. Chris was in Toronto. And Descalso picks up a base hit into right. The Phillies gave up Kyle Drabek, which was the real centerpiece of that deal going back the other way. Yadier Molina going from first to second base. Safe at second, safe and secure. New York Live.
Now you look at Tony La Russa's internal tick marks for pro and con of pitcher batting eighth, and he would say now it's a good thing. Now that Descalso has delivered and you have runners at first and second, it's a good time to have the pitcher up.
Now, the one thing you have to look at in this spot is who is running at second base. And in this instance, it's Molina. So you talk about secondary leads, how important that is, and also the direction of the bunt, how good it has to be.
You really have to make the third baseman field it, and you have to bunt it hard enough that he has to come off the bag. And we'll just have to see how the Phillies defend it. The way you defend against a good hard bunt to the third baseman is have the shortstop cover. But that opens up the middle of the field. It's called the wheel play. Shortstop's moving the third, second baseman's moving the first. Whole infield is open because they're probably not going to throw to second anyway. And we'll see if Rollins takes off, then hold Molina on first, and there he goes.
Bunted foul behind home plate. Halladay has struggled in this spot a couple of times trying to get a bunt down. And the first time then he eventually struck out. Second time led to a force play at second.
Kendo encouraging McClellan there. He could be telling him, let's go get the bunt down, or he could be saying, you see Rollins go to third, swing the bat.
Bunted in the air, and both runners are back safely. So runners at first and second with one down.
Not able to get on top of it. And this time Rollins doesn't go to third. He goes to third on the first bunt. Second one he goes a little bit later.
It's remarkable. We showed you in our open that the home run, the walk-off shot by Skip Schumacher, first home run in his career against a left-handed pitcher. Nearly 400 at bats.
He's got a chance to excite everybody here at Busch Stadium with one swing of the bat here. It doesn't have to be a homer either. When you're in a game with a guy like Halladay, an RBI base hit feels like a home run, doesn't it?
Sure does. 0-1 pitch.
Everybody here at the ballpark, Dan, knows who the Cardinals are facing right now. I don't know about everybody, but it's clear that this is one of the elite pitchers in the game. Even the casual fan knows who Roy Halladay is.
1 ball, 1 strike. Schumacher fists one out to shallow center field. That ball will get down. Victorino throws to third. Safe. Polanco was in a position to take in that throw as if he had to tag out Yadier Molina, and did not stretch like a first baseman would with a force play at third base. Watch this.
There's Victorino. It's a good, strong throw. All he needs to do is really stretch to get that throw, and I think Molina shields him a little bit, so maybe he doesn't see where the throw's coming from. Yadi's kind of stuck. I got to get back. Now I got to go. You can't really fault him, but Polanco with a stretch, and if he could have seen that ball and caught it, Yadi's out.
Here is Terrio. 1 out, bases loaded. Best opportunity of the night. Skip Schumacher, that walk-off home run, he has 2 now in his career. The other was against the Cubs a couple of years ago. Both times he came off the bench, didn't start that ball game. That was the case on Sunday. 0-2.
Cardinals haven't exactly beat the ball around this inning. There have been 3 flares. So you get a break, you have to take advantage of it.
4 for 6. The base is loaded this year. 0-2 pitch. Terrio pulls it foul. Just foul. That close. Hamilton recalled with the injury to Pujols. The 0-2 pitch to Terrio. Reaches forward again. Hit to third. Polanco to second. Struggled getting it out of his glove, and in doing so, it allows an extra step or two for Ryan Terrio. He beats it out, and it's 1-0 St. Louis. Initially, he thought that was tailor-made.
A lot of excitement here at the ballpark on an infield ground ball, but there's Polanco. He can't get it out of his glove. There's Schumacher taking out Utley. No chance to get Terrio, and really that play caused by Polanco not getting it out of his glove. Tailor-made double play, really, and Cardinals get another break.
Here's John Jay. 1-0 St. Louis. Jay to short, and Rollins makes a sliding catch. The Cardinals, though, get on the board first in this series. It's 1-0 after 5. Date in baseball history. Tony La Russa gets career win number 2,500 when the Cardinals beat the Royals 12-5 with the help of an Albert Pujols grand slam. Schnooks, this date in baseball history.
I guess we'll have to wait about 6 more weeks for another one of those.
Odd looking sky here at the ballpark. Another hot day here in St. Louis. Clouds overhead. Nightfall nearly upon us. And a ground ball that's hit to second. Taken there by Schumacher. Victorino retired. Sunday, fans ages 15 and under receive a Cardinals duffel bag with a paid admission. Perfect for toting your sports equipment from game to game. Bag is brought to you by Powerade and Shop and Save. By the way, Sunday, I told you about those $10 terrace level tickets. So you get the duffel bag, a ticket to the game for $10, and also with that ticket, a free hot dog and Coke. Pretty good deal. One out. Here's Chase Utley. That floats in there for a strike. Pitch count very efficient, 66.
We talked about how important his curveball would be to set everything else up, and he's thrown 2 first pitch strikes on curveballs in this inning, And really that establishes the fastball. They're trying to get some outs on, get ground balls, not necessarily trying to go out there and be a strikeout pitcher. McClellan has been very good, Dan, against left-handers in his career. In fact, when he was in the bullpen, Tony often used him to pitch to left-handed batters.
2 strikes, 1-2. Great pitching matchup tomorrow with Kyle Loesch, a former Phil, against Cliff Lee. Field box level seats for only $20. $20 tomorrow, field box level seats. That's ripped into right and a base hit. On 1-2, Chase Utley picks up the hit.
Very good hitter. Not a bad curveball. Was a little bit on the inner half, more so the outer half, which is where Kyle was trying to throw that pitch back door, kind of try to get in the front door. And unfortunately, Chase was guarding that front door.
Ball just jumps off his bat.
Nice easy swing too, huh?
Yes. Remember, he was the guy that to an extent made Polanco expendable. If Polanco at second base and they heard about this guy Utley coming up, they said he's pretty darn good. Wait till you see him. We didn't know he was this good. How about a double play ball? Out at second, out at first. It's a double play. Terrio limping off the field after Utley took him out at second base. At Lumiere Casino. It's now open. It's a sports bar for everyone. By Jack in the Box. For right now, you can get the new bourbon barbecue steak grilled sandwich at participating restaurants. And by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. And Holiday, the hitter, 1-0 St. Louis.
Yadier Molina and Dave Duncan talking between innings. You know, that's a conversation that happens throughout the game. Dave Duncan getting his advice into the catcher and kind of working alongside of him. You can't forget about your catcher. Dave Duncan's not about to do that. Just making sure that Yadi's seeing everything that Dave's seeing and vice versa. So they're giving Kyle McClellan a chance to do everything the best he can. And so far, so good for McClellan.
Dave Duncan, a former catcher. So he's not going to forget about any catcher that he deals with. And McClellan so far very sharp here tonight. 2-2 on Matt Holliday. Holliday has walked and also grounded out to short. Berkman on deck. And then Colby Rasmus. 2-2 the count.
May have missed a pitch he could handle there. He actually centered that one better. Missed it. but it was centered more in terms of timing.
And a ground ball to short. Rollins up with it. One away. The American Red Cross and St. Louis Cardinals are teaming up for a blood drive tomorrow and Thursday. For more information on blood donation and the locations you can visit to donate, go to redcrossblood.org.
Was out at a Cardinal camp in St. Peter's this morning. Scott Terry was running the Cardinals clinic. A number of former players. Lee Thomas was there, who actually was the general manager of the Phillies for some time, and former Cardinal manager, coach, traveling secretary. He kind of did everything when he was with the Cardinals. Just a great baseball guy. Lives here in St. Louis, but he was out there with Kurt Ford, Neil Fiala, Kenny Reitz. And we just had a great time. Over 100 kids at that clinic out in St. Peter's. It was a great, great morning.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Berkman. Driven to right, out in front, and pulled foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. And there are those alumni kids clinics throughout the Metro St. Louis area. All you have to do is just go to Cardinals.com and look at the schedule. Be all over the place this summer. Here's a 1-1. $9 terrace level seats tomorrow. $20 field box level seats. As Molina is talking with Kyle McClellan. Those prices part of dynamic pricing this season. That will roll foul.
Almost came back fair. And that's a situation, Dan, where a catcher will pick his spots about how much he says to the pitcher and when. And you got to know your pitchers. Know when do they get information best. Is it when they're out on the mound? Is it between innings? Is it after they've had a chance to rest? I mean, you just have to know the pitcher. Some guys want it explained to them more deeply. Others want a 1 word and get out of my face. It really just depends on how you prepare.
1-2 the count. And right now is Kyle McClellan sitting in there thinking about, this is back to Halladay, but is he in there thinking, Rick, about Polanco, Ibanez, Brown, and how he wants to approach him?
I hope that's what he's thinking about. Yeah, I mean, you're thinking about kind of what's working and what pitch do I want to really maybe focus on this next inning. But really, it's Polanco. It's strike 1 to Polanco. What has he done? What is he capable of doing? What's he done before against me? And what do I want? How do I stay a step ahead of him in terms of how I attack him?
Here is Rasmus. Is pulled foul. Take a look at this stance and where Colby Rasmus, Rick, is situated. Looks like he might be on the plate a little bit closer than we normally see him at.
I would agree. When you get up on the plate, you're basically saying that you're having trouble seeing the pitch away from you. And so you're just going to say, I trust my hands on the inside pitch. I'm just going to get up there and protect on that pitch because they're pitching me away and getting me out of the way. So I'm going to try to take that away from you.
2-2.
Worst I ever saw, that Bob Warner would stand, I mean, almost on the inside corner of the plate. You'd look at him and there'd be no space between. I don't know how he would do it. And you'd think, you know, you got to pitch this guy in, right? Well, don't, because he'd crush it. You threw it on the outside corner and he was out. And there's an outside pitch. Rasmus doesn't see it.
Midsummer Classics, you can vote for the best All-Star moments. And don't forget, the All-Star game is Tuesday, July 12th, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Fox to find out who won. MLB.com/moments. Vote now for your favorite Midsummer Classic. That's the 8 greatest moments right now. 16 is down to 8. Big breaking ball taken high by Polanco. 1 ball, 1 strike. We're underway here in the 7th. Cal McClellan has allowed 3 base hits. Roy Halladay 4. And the difference in this game, bases loaded. And Polanco struggled with a ground ball that should have been a double play. Instead, it allowed a run to score. And it's 1-0 right now.
And defense is paramount right now for the Cardinals to make the plays you need to make. Don't boot anything. Berkman, this had a little spin on it. The ball hit to his right, but he's very sure-handed. And the flip to McClellan. And you follow the ball. That's what you do. You flip it, you follow it to make sure that your momentum takes you in the right direction. Don't just flip it and stand still. Pitchers fielding practice, they work on that all spring training long.
Found it interesting. Many believe that Berkman physically feels more comfortable in right field than he does at first base.
How many balls you're going to get hit to you in right field over the course of a game? 3, 4, 5, maybe a couple of hits your way. So you've got a chance to kind of be a little more, I don't want to say relaxed because you're ready on every pitch, but as a first baseman, you're stopping, starting, running, moving. It's not a long way, but those quick starts may be more bothersome to him.
2-1. With the knee surgery, I would assume that's what he deals with. The starting, the stopping, the pounding of trying to run towards the bag, quickly stop, those kind of things. But what a signing he has been this year.
Say one thing about first base and replacing Albert Pujols. Nobody replaces Albert Pujols. What you do is you try to be competitive at that position while he's out. And the defensive part of first base is not as much of a worry as the production part. You want production out of your corner infielders. That's part of how a team is made up. And the defense, you know, there are a lot of guys that can play first base. Yachty can play first. John Jay can play first. But you want production there as well.
Dominic Brown with 1 out, runner at first. Brown is grounded out to second, also flied out to right. Off the end of the bat, center field. Rasmus puts it away for out number 2. Pitches by inning. Most taxing of the inning so far, the 3rd, when he had 18 pitches. In that inning, he had walked a man, that was Rollins, and also gave up a single to Ruiz.
It's nice when you can sprinkle those less than 10 pitch innings in there, so you end up having a good number after 6, 7, 8, so you go deeper into a game. Again, Tony La Russa needs his starters to go deeper. Starting to think right now about who do I have, my bullpen, who's coming up, who do they have? Who do they have in their bench? All those things in Tony's mind right now. But I know his plan A is let Kyle go as deep as he can go.
Right-hander throwing right now for the Phillies in their bullpen. You've got Ruiz, who has 2 of the 3 hits tonight for the Phillies, and then Halladay's spot. Charlie Manuel's thinking, well, not many cracks at Cal McClellan. If I get that chance here in this inning, even though he may not want to, but he'll have to pinch hit for Roy Halladay. If his spot comes up. 2 balls and no strikes.
Well, it's been a great game. 1-0 game. One of my favorite kinds of baseball game. A lot of strategy. When do you let your pitcher hit? When do you pinch hit for him? Bunting, hit and run. All those decisions are in play. The bullpen's eventually going to be in play. You've got 2 managers, Dan. One is a surefire Hall of Famer, and I'm not so sure Charlie Manuel won't be a Hall of Fame manager by the time he's done. He's had 5 or 6 first place finishes, a couple of second places. World Championship.
Series. Been to 2 with the Phillies.
And you get the feeling with the club he has now, he's not done. And about as nice as they come. But don't get on his bad side. Don't confuse meekness with weakness.
2-2 pitch. A good pitch in on Ruiz. Who would have thought Charlie Manuel would be the perfect guy for the city of Philly?
Well, he wasn't at first.
That's right. They were all over him.
They didn't like. They just thought he was just a good old boy from the hills of Virginia, which is what he was, and kind of had the drawl going. But
now they love him.
He stood up for himself, and they liked it.
Three and 2 on Ruiz. Ibanez off with this pitch at first base. Big pitch right here in this game. And this right now factors into so many decisions that both managers will take a look at, but certainly Charlie Manuel with Halladay the next hitter up.
You almost feel like you want to walk this guy so you get Halladay out, or make him bat, one or the other.
3-2 pitch. Left field. Halladay was playing deep, so can't make the catch. Drops it in front of him. They're going to pull back Roy Halladay and take their chances here with their bullpen and a chance to get on the board. Carlos Ruiz
having a night.
3 for 3. Opponent's average by situation 222 with runners in scoring position overall, and then with 2 outs 154. He really bears down. This is Glode. Ross Glode will be the pinch hitter for the Phillies. Think about the psyche of this Cardinals team. They've been through so much already with all the injuries, but if they could somehow find a way to win this game with Pujols out for the first time and do it against Roy Halladay, gives you a little confidence.
Glode's been an outstanding pinch hitter, 9 for 32, has a couple of RBIs. The only left-hander on their bench.
Two balls and no strikes. Outfield is straight away. Tying run at second base. And it's a base hit out to left. Here comes Halladay's throw to the plate. It's cut off by Descalso. The run does score. And we're tied up 1-1. And this was awfully close to having that third out before he got to the plate.
And almost a mistake by Carlos Ruiz, the base runner, getting too close to Descalso. He goes to tag him, and Ibanez just barely scores before Descalso tags Ruiz. And I tell you what, that would have been a huge mistake had it just been a split second sooner. The Phillies tied the score. I think it's alert play by Descalso. Don't think they had a chance at Ibanez. Still, nice throw from Holiday. Forces the third out of the inning and gets McClellan out of it.
Starters comparison. Both guys have been very good tonight. Yadier Molina, Daniel Descalso, and then Kyle McClellan. Michael Stutz is the new pitcher.
There's the strike breakdown, and again we're tracking called strikes, fouled strikes, swings and misses, balls put in play. McClellan, a lot of those, 21 of the 52 strikes were put in play, only 15 for Halladay. That means a lot of foul balls, a lot of swings and misses from him. McClellan's been very efficient with his strikes.
Yachty is 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. That single back in the 5th. Cardinals with a total of 4 base hits. Chevy called to the pen, bringing in this right-hander. Selected by the Phillies, 11th round of 2008. 24th appearance. A 1-2 pitch. Popped up again right side. Howard over. It is playable and makes the catch.
We saw Stutz in both games in the first series between these two clubs. Pitching less than an inning in both of them.
Here is Descalso as a double tonight. And also a single, 2 for 2 off of Roy Halladay. Stutz is 24. He's from Oregon.
Mark Hamilton will bat for Kyle McClellan. That, of course, means action in the Cardinal bullpen. Switch hitters in the lefties in the 8th inning. Means Trevor Miller's getting loose.
In the air, right field. It is hooking. Will it stay fair? Home run distance and foul. Oh, it's crushed by Daniel. A 2-1 pitch to Descalso. Outside. Mid-90s with a slider. The scan report on Stutz. On 3-1. He walked him. Bottom of this lineup has done some of the damage tonight. Descalso on base for the 3rd time. Schumacher 1 for 2. You also had Molina with a base hit. Middle of that lineup, very quiet so far. Four walks tonight for Kyle McClellan. That last one came around to score. Here's Mark Hamilton. Hamilton was recalled. It's been up and down for him, Memphis and St. Louis. After the injury to Pujols, Hamilton back in St. Louis.
keeps tearing it up in AAA, but he's 0 for his last 18 at this level. You know, sometimes you just have to get your feet underneath you. You have to start to get comfortable, get some at-bats. You know, it's tough when you're pinch hitting, too. You don't really get a feel for the game the way you are used to as a minor leaguer. How often do you pinch hit in the minor leagues? Maybe never.
And Tony has talked about the fact that Descalso, Hamilton, to an extent when he was here, Tyler Green, they said all these guys are used to being everyday players.
Right.
And to have him come up here and maybe get 3 at-bats a week, very, very difficult to stay sharp. That does make a lot of sense.
It really does. But if you do something in those 3 at-bats, you get more.
Ground ball right side and a base hit. Descalso on his way to third. Hamilton comes through with a pinch hit base hit. Maybe you'll get another chance.
You'll get another. You earn your chances.
That's right.
Like Tony says, you either do or you don't. And he did.
Utley was doing everything he could to keep that on the infield and make sure that Descalso did not go to third. McClellan is hoping for a chance at a win tonight. Rich Doobie out, pitching coach of the Phillies. He's got a pretty good job when you got Halladay and Lee, Oswald, Hamels.
Yeah, 4 days a week you go out there and say, hey, just keep doing what you're doing.
That's a pretty good job.
Charlie Manuel turns to him and says, what do you think? Well, I think we should start Halladay today, and then 5 days from now, and then maybe follow it with Lee, and that's what I think. Yeah. Man, you're a genius.
1st and 15th. That's stealing right there.
It is.
Here's Skip Schumacher.
Here's your chance.
Skip said it so brilliantly to me the other day after his home run. He said, I ain't gonna lie, it felt really good. And did it on Father's Day. Here's a 1-0 pitch.
Still a big hole in that right side, the same hole that Mark Hamilton hit. Utley playing pretty close to second base for Schumacher. He can hit ground balls to the right side. That should produce a run if he doesn't. You know, if you hit the ball to the left of the second baseman, that's a very difficult double play to turn as well. So I say pull a ground ball to the right side. Want to get it past Ryan Howard? Take your chances.
1-2. Over 40,000 here tonight. Ready to erupt here at Busch Stadium. One ball and 2 strikes on Skip Schumacher. Schumacher with a fly ball into center. Catch made by Victorino. Descalso will score, and it's 2-1 St. Louis. Nissan drive of the game. Pitch that was up, could get it in the air, and he did so. That drives in Descalso, no throw from the flying Hawaiian.
Good situational hitting by Schumacher. Descalso tags. He's been on base 3 times and RBI out of the 9th spot and the leadoff spot for the Cardinals. 2-1 lead.
Pinch hit by Hamilton looms large in this game now. Ryan Theriot with 2 outs.
And if the Cardinals can hang on and beat the Phillies, no, they didn't beat Roy Halladay, but it feels like they did. And I think that means something when you go up against Cliff Lee in game 2, if you have a chance to actually beat Roy Halladay in game 1.
Look at the third base umpire trying to make sure that Oquendo got out of the way as Descalso was tagging up. Wanted to try to get in position to see the catch, then see that the runner Descalso did not leave early. Get himself in a position to see both if he can. Two and one on Theriot with 2 outs and a runner at first. Three and one.
Really not much of a lead for Mark Hamilton at first. It's really less than a step and a dive. Step and a dive is kind of where you want to get to. He's kind of a step.
Theriot shoots it out to center field, but Victorino with his good speed and quickness easily makes the catch. Cardinals on top 2-1 as we head to the 8th. And what they did tonight, and Skip Schumacher could be a hero for the 2nd consecutive game. Go ahead sac fly RBI just moments ago. Trevor Miller is into the ball game for the Redbirds. Chevy called to the pen.
Miller's been better the last 2 outings. Seems a little sharper with his slider, a little more command with his fastball. Tough assignment. Pitching against the big guns of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Got a switch hitter to start things off, a switch hitter on deck, and then Utley and Howard from the left side. So they'll turn the first 2 around. Jimmy Rollins has popped out to second. He has walked and also grounded out to first.
Keep him off the bases.
15 steals this year for Rollins. Just a .219 hitter from this side of the plate. .272 from the left side. First pitch catches the corner for a strike. Well, this is Trevor Miller's inning, if not more. Nobody getting loose in the Cardinal pen. They'll turn around the switch hitters. .219 average this side of the plate. Shane Victorino, who's on deck, though. .348 side. .348 average from that side, the right side of the plate. A 2-1 pitch. Fly ball out to left. Holiday there.
You'd expect that Trevor Miller, as you said, would get through Ryan Howard at least. And depending upon where the situation is in the game, he may even be out there for longer. I think the Cardinals' wish list here is to just have to go Miller and Salas to close this game out.
You wonder if you're Tony La Russa, if he has a 1-2-3 inning, would you start the inning with Miller to get Howard? Then you have Polanco, but then right after that, back-to-back lefties again.
Well, that's where the question comes in. Do you leave him in anyway, even after Howard? But I think he certainly has it until Howard, even if that's the ninth.
2-0. Good pitch. 2-1.
Been behind both hitters. You don't like to see that, but he was able to get Jimmy Rollins out.
Victorino with 11 steals this year. In this ball game, he is 0 for 3. Rollins, Victorino, and Utley 1 for 9 tonight with a walk. A 3-1 pitch. Victorino, fly ball out to left. That'll drop in for a hit. Holiday, last inning and again this inning, just seems like he's playing very, very deep.
I'm not sure he saw that ball very well either. I'm not sure he's going to catch that ball anyway, but did not have a real aggressive approach to it.
15-game hitting streak against the Cardinals for Victorino. A one-out base hit to left, and here is Utley.
Here's where you hold your breath.
You bet. $40,095 here tonight. 40095. Jason Mott getting loose in the pen. Utley with a single in the sixth. He's flied out to deep right and struck out his first time up in the first. Here's a 1-1.
Here's where it gets even more dangerous. You're behind in the count to chase Utley. His number's not very good this season against left-handers, but don't let that fool you. He get flat out hit.
He's just getting going too. see the defense, in particular Holiday, very deep in left. John Jay deep in right. 2 balls, 1 strike on Chase Utley. 3-1. Cardinals have turned 2 double plays tonight. One off the bat of Howard, the other off the bat of Ibanez. Three and 2.
Question now, 3 and 2 with 1 out. Do you run Victorino? I would suspect that Trevor Miller will try to pick him off before delivering this pitch to the plate. He doesn't. There goes the runner. A little more of a danger of getting picked off when you take off on a 3 and 2 count with 1 out with a left-handed pitcher, because he might just be tricky. You know how lefties are. I think Molina wants to make sure Miller's thinking about both the runner and the batter. Of course, the more important of the two is the batter. He's the guy that can hurt you the most.
With Molina going out to the mound, Utley had a conversation with the home plate umpire. He didn't like that strike 2 call, but he did it in a professional way.
That's what you like to see.
The player should have a right to question it.
Of course. And 99% of umpires wouldn't begrudge that a bit.
The 3-2, not running, doesn't matter. It's a walk. And it brings in Howard. This looked to be a pretty good pitch.
Well, got the count right. It's another reason you lobby umpires in a professional manner.
Tony La Russa will go to his bullpen here.
Very interesting.
And he's going to bring in a right-hander to face Ryan Howard. A power pitcher. You'll see power against power when we come back. Howard, Mott, game on the line when we come back. Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. By Bank of America, where ATM deposits are as easy as an infield fly. No deposit slip, no envelope with Bank of America. Member FDIC. And by AT&T. 1 out. Runners at first and second. The always dangerous Ryan Howard back in his hometown, and a chance to do some damage here.
Tony La Russa did not like the matchup of Trevor Miller and Ryan Howard. He was 4 for 11 in his career against Miller, so opts instead to go to Jason Mott. Not as much experience. Mott has Franklin 0 for 1, which doesn't tell us much, but boy, this is fastball against power here, isn't it?
Sure is. First pitch to him. Taken for a strike. Howard has walked twice tonight. Also grounded into a 4.63 double play. A very good speed on the bases, in particular with Victorino at second base. And the 0-1. Bases are loaded. And it brings in Polanco. He's 1 for 1 in his career against Jason Mott. That one hit, a home run.
That's the third batter that Mott has hit this year. Most of them, all of them lately. Trying to get that ball in on left-handers.
Outfield shallow for Polanco. First pitch is taken high for a ball. Twice he has flied out to right. And he's also grounded out. He does own 3 career grand slams. Victorino is the runner at third base. Utley at second. Howard now at first after being hit by the pitch. Here's a 1-0.
Cardinal relievers pitching backward in this inning. A lot of 2-0 counts. Puts you on the defensive. Makes you feel as if you're not the team with the lead.
The 2-0 pitch. Fouled away. 2-1. Tony La Russa going with Mott, hoping to get a strikeout. Instead, it's been a hit batter and some anxious moments.
Shallow in center field is Rasmus. Fairly shallow John Jay in right.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. 2-2. And Polanco having words with the home plate umpire. That's the same pitch that Utley didn't like too.
Here's where Mott usually likes to climb the ladder to get a strikeout or a pop out.
The 2-2. We'll do it again.
That's the mindset of a strikeout pitcher at work right there. He has that nice strike at the knees. Instead of going down there again, he tries to go for the strikeout. Polanco, very difficult to strike out.
A 2-2.
Hardest to strike out in the National League so far is Albert Pujols. Number 2, Polanco.
And his time in St. Louis, you normally don't see him argue with the home plate umpire about strikes. Just plays the game. Makes you wonder about the strike zone. Bases loaded. The 3-2 pitch. And he hits Polanco. And this game is tied. Mott has come in and hit Howard. And now he hits Polanco. Tony La Russa now will make that slow walk out to the mound, and he will go to his bullpen. Talbot has been getting loose. It's 2-2. In this spot right here, he'll come in with the bases loaded in a 2-2 game. Here in the top of the 8th as Mott came in and hit 2. The second man, Polanco, that he hit. And in doing so, tied the game up.
You know, I'm not sure the Cardinals, making a point about their bullpen, Dan, I'm not sure they've found their jam guy yet. You think about in years past, there was a time where it was Al Reyes would come in with guys on base and he could somehow get out of it.
Kiko
Calero did that. Kyle McClellan did that.
Yeah.
Where he would come in and just, you know, diffuse a rally. And now, certainly Fernando Salas on the left has been handling the 9th inning well, and he's the kind of guy who could do that, but you don't want to use him this early either. They need somebody they can trust in the 7th and 8th inning to be a shutdown pitcher, and I think they're still searching for that guy.
1 out, bases loaded. See the pinch runner for Polanco, who touched the first base bag and now is out of the game, and Abanya is nearly hit by the pitch. What is going on here? He is 1 for 5 with a strikeout. Against Talbot. So Wilson Valdez is your pinch runner at first, and Busch Stadium has gotten very, very quiet. The 2-1 pitch to Raul Ibanez. 2-2. Got him. Big strikeout there for Talent. Like he had him out in front.
And I like the fact that he went at him on 2-2 as well. This is a pitch that's up and away and really just not a very good swing. I'm not sure what Ibanez was looking for. Might have been looking for the slider and just kind of had a bad swing at a fastball middle away. But that's a big pitch for Talent.
And Ben Francisco will be the pinch hitter here for Brown.
This was what I'm talking about a pitcher pitching in a jam. It's one thing to come in the 8th inning, to start an inning and pitch a scoreless 8th. That's not easy to do either. But it's a lot harder to come in with bases loaded and 1 out and get a couple of outs. And Talent, 1 pitch away from doing just that.
Pitch to Ben Francisco, the pinch hitter with the bases loaded. And ball 1. Francisco is 2 for 9 as a pinch hitter. No home runs, 1 RBI. The Cardinals will have Jay, Holiday, and Berkman coming up. The 1-0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Francisco 2 for 5 against Talent in his career. The 1-1 pitch. Does not want to go to 3-1.
Haven't tracked it exactly, but the 7 hitters in this inning, I would say at least 5, maybe 6 of the hitters, Cardinals at least had a 2-0 or 2-1 count on. Working from behind.
3-1. In this inning alone, the Cardinals have given up a base hit to Victorino, walk to Utley. Mott came in, hit Howard, hit Polanco, strikeout of Ibanez, and now the 3-1 pitch to Francisco. Ground ball left side, base hit past Descalso. The Phillies have the lead.
Nice effort by Descalso. You know, this inning, frustrating inning because you feel as if the Cardinals gave away these 2 runs more than the Phillies earned them. The hit by pitches, the walks, the working behind. Both those runs charged to Trevor Miller.
Pitching change upcoming when we come back. The Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Miguel Batista into the ball game, his 26th appearance. And he'll come in with the bases loaded, and now the Cardinals trailing 3-2.
And I know this is maddening for a lot of Cardinal fans when they see Kyle McClellan go 7 innings and give it up just 1 run, and the Cardinals are already on their 4th reliever here in the 8th inning, and they're not done yet. Batista takes over for Talent. We've already seen Miller and Mott. But what happens when you get late is Tony likes to go to the matchups, and he knows these are shorter pitch guys. They're guys that are going to face 3-4 batters at the most anyway, and when you don't get your guy, what happens is you got to go to the next guy, and all of a sudden the inning becomes very long and drawn out. And really, again, the Phillies haven't done much on their side to deserve these 2 runs. The Cardinals have given them to them.
And here's Carlos Ruiz. Big night for him. 3 for 3. He's never had a 4-hit game. One ball, 1 strike. You know, you also have a guy like Mitchell Boggs out there. Cardinals have not used him. He had a lefty up. Removed Miller, trying to go with a strikeout pitcher with Mott. Martinez is on deck. Here's a 1-1 pitch with the bases loaded. What's also maddening right now is how the Cardinals continue to fall behind on hitters not throwing strikes, and we're close to 40 pitches already in this inning.
And the pressure really hasn't subsided. This is a big batter here too.
3-1.
There was pressure to keep the lead for one of the Cardinal relievers, then there was pressure to keep it a tie game. Now it's just a 1-run game, still within reach.
And he walked him. Ball scoots away, but the runners will stay put. 4-2. Michael Martinez will be the hitter. Charlie Manuel is down to 1 position player on his bench.
That's his backup catcher.
So 2 outs, bases loaded. And I'm sure right now of major concern to the Phillies, the status of Polanco. You know, that's a key piece to their team.
No doubt about it.
Hit on the hand, it looked like, or the wrist area. Jason Mott, fastball. 2-0. Nobody getting loose in the Cardinal bullpen. Take a strike, maybe 2.
Such a bad feeling. Plates jumping around on you. Something you do so naturally so many days. Feels so unnatural. Seems like you're 60 yards away, not 60 feet. It's a bad feeling.
3 walks in the inning, 2 hit batsmen. And the Phillies will have batted around now. Jerry Rollins started the inning with a fly out to left. For Batista, it's not getting any easier as Rollins is 10 for 19 against him in his career.
Yeah, you're past the matchup conversation now if you're Tony La Russa. You played your cards the best way you could with the matchups as you saw fit. And once it doesn't work, you've just got to have Batista finish this. And when a team bats around, Dan, and they only have 2 hits, you know that's a bad inning.
Plato getting loose in the bullpen. And this is turning into one of the ugliest innings of the season so far. I'm sure you would agree.
And what's such a shame about it is we had a fantastic baseball game going on here. I mean, it was sharply played, well thought out, good moves, good decisions on hit and runs and bunts, strategy, pitchers throwing strikes, starting pitchers being very effective, getting deep into games.
Two and two. One run in. Here comes another. And it's all Phillies now in this ball game. It's 7-2. And Rollins continues his torrid hitting against Miguel Batista. Pitching change coming up. Has one appearance, and that was against San Francisco, you may remember, a few weeks ago. here at Busch Stadium, and he'll come in with runners at first and second here in the 8th, and a 7-2 Phillies lead. Phillies with 6 runs here in this 8th inning. There's Shane Victorino. Plato at 98. We talked about it the other day that he went back down and spread the word to his teammates. You know what, guys? They can hit fastballs up there. We need to learn some secondary pitches.
Yeah, he also had trouble throwing strikes when he was up here the first time, too.
Clearly, the Cardinals very intrigued with this power arm. 100 on the gun. Plato is picked up for Brendan Ryan from Seattle. Scouts detected a little flaw in his delivery and trying to hide the baseball. That's taken for a ball, 2-1.
There's the secondary pitch, little slider. Up in the zone there, 86 miles an hour.
Down in the minor leagues, he was working as a starter and not as a reliever, but most believe his future is in the pen if he's able to make it in the major leagues because of that power arm. 3-1. And the Cardinals on the verge of walking their 4th batter here in the 8th inning.
Inning is frustrating for Tony La Russa, for all the Cardinal relievers, the fans. I'm just kind of glad I'm not Yadier Molina right now. I mean, he's the one putting down all these fingers, and he's been out there a long time, and he's doing everything he can to try to get. Told Plato right there, he gave him the strike zone pitch. He put his glove right in the middle of the plate, said, "Here you go," and that pitch missed by 2 feet.
Ball 1. Utley in this inning walked. There's a strike. 1-1.
It's going to take 5 Cardinal relievers a long time to get 3 outs.
One on the gun. Nice piece of hitting going the other way. Chase Utley. 2 more runs will score.
That actually wasn't a bad pitch. 99 on the black. That's how good Utley is.
So 2 outs, runners at first and second. 0-1.
Howard was a key moment in this game about a half an hour ago, batting in the same inning. Tony La Russa decided to take out Trevor Miller. Did not use him lefty against lefty. He brought in Jason Mott, and Mott hit Howard. And really, it's just snowballed in a bad direction ever since. Frustrating day for many Cardinal relievers.
And to think that Kyle McClellan had a chance to win this game. 90 pitches, 52 strikes. Very solid. .62 pitches this half inning. Ripped into right center field. Another run will score. That's now 9 here in the top of the 8th, and it's 10-2.
This one 99. This one also down a bit. Big hitters can turn that around. And we just saw it again, and now we have a rout in a game that was a close game for a long time. Everybody's stunned.
Now listen to the reaction. And at one point, what was a tight ball game now has turned into a blowout. It's 10-2. Ryan Howard and the Phillies. 9 runs in the top half of the 8th. This is a team that came in collectively hitting .247, but Rick, as you well know, when you walk or hit batters, that's what catches up with you, and it did tonight.
Yeah, you're just giving up base runners at that point without them having to earn it. And he used to assume a guy hits the ball on the line, he's going to be out. Maybe 1 out of 3 times he hits the ball hard, and if you walk him or hit him, you're just not giving him a chance. A lefty, Antonio Bastardo, takes over for the Phillies. He'll pitch the 8th inning. Jay Holiday and Berkman. And very good numbers for him. This is his 31st game. He's really made J.C. Romero kind of expendable. Phillies sent him out.
Yeah, not kind of.
Not kind of.
He's gone.
Yeah, that made him a big-time expendable. And he had been a nasty, nasty pitcher out of the bullpen himself from the left side. But Bastardo's having an outstanding season.
All right, I've got good news.
He's a bit of an overkill right here, I must say, bringing him into this game.
You ready for the good news?
Anything.
David Freese, 1 for 3 with the double.
There you
Memphis
go.
tonight.
Thanks for the good news, Dan.
Here's Peter Kozma.
Well, what positives have we seen? Kyle McClellan has rebounded from his injury, got deep into a ball game.
I thought his curveball was much better tonight. Sharp.
And he was down in the zone.
Yeah.
Really not a lot of good swings. That same Phillies team certainly had a lot of good swings and a lot of good at-bats in the 8th inning, but first 7, not really. And, you know, one of the things that we've been talking about, Dan, is as the starters go deeper into the game, that should make the bullpen better. Tonight, not so much, but long run, it's going to work that way.
One ball and 2 strikes on Kozma. He pulls it foul. Pete was saying today that he was looking forward to seeing Albert Pujols talk about the play that has sent him to the DL. It was Kozma in that throw that was up the line just a bit. Grounder to third. It's Valdez, and Kozma retired. Brings in Matt Holliday with 1 down. Holliday twice is grounded out to short, and he's also walked. Milwaukee in the bottom of the 8th, leading Tampa Bay by the score of 5-1. Yankees and Reds postponed. So 10-2 here. The Phillies lead it after a 9-run top of the 8th.
So if things stay the same, that means the Cardinals lose a game to Milwaukee. They started a game up on the Milwaukee Brewers, even though the Cardinals haven't played a half a game up, even though they haven't played well of late, somehow managing to be in first place coming into play. Pretty amazing to me. They're going to be in a stretch over the next 6 weeks without 4 to 6 weeks without their star. They'll need production from this guy, Berkman, Rasmus, and others. And they need starting pitching just like they got from Kyle McClellan. No more than that. Just do that, and things will be all right.
Andrew Brown will be the pinch hitter here for Berkman. Holliday, runner at first. play behind him, this big lead.
Phillies are first in the league in pitching. You mentioned that earlier, Dan. They're also first in the league in fielding. This is not a team that beats themselves. Cardinals, to this point, have beat themselves.
0-2. Part of baseball is always second guessing any move for a manager and what they do, but the bullpen walks and walks and walks, and you hit a couple of guys, it doesn't matter what he does.
Yeah, I'm not sure what. Yeah, exactly. It's almost like the inability for anybody to get the job done, bit of a vindication for any decision Tony would have made, because really nothing worked short of bringing in Salas for 2 innings, which I don't think is the right move.
Curious at this point where Tony and Dave Duncan put Mitchell Boggs. You know, where is he at? What role do you see him filling? At one point the closer, then sent down to the minor leagues, now back up. Is he a long man? Is he an 8th inning guy? At this point we just don't know. 1 ball and 2 strikes here on Andrew Brown. 2-2.
I think tonight is an indication, and not just tonight, but really over the last week or so, I think we can clearly say that Mitchell Boggs has an opportunity to be whatever he pitches himself into being.
Yeah.
If he comes out and shows he can be consistent with that 8th inning, then he can be that kind of guy. He could also be the jam kind of pitcher we talked about earlier, because he has the strikeout pitch, he has the sinker to get the ground ball, he can come in with the bases loaded and wow you too. Of course, Jason Mott can do that. Didn't get it done tonight, but I think he's still a pretty good choice out in the pen to be that guy. Certainly the opportunity's there for Mitchell Boggs.
A 3-2 pitch. Foul ball. They have chased the ball up, strikeout, and there's 2 away in the Cardinals' half of the 8th.
Little high, hard one. Brown can't catch up. You know, Dan, we said we were going to hold our breath in that 8th inning. It's a good thing we literally didn't do that.
You'd be purple.
We wouldn't have made it.
Rather lengthy top half of the inning.
I'll say.
Colby has struck out looking. Then he grounded out and also struck out again. 0 for 3. Ryan Howard back in St. Louis, the big first baseman for the Phillies. I always wonder if it's a nuisance at times for a guy to go back to his hometown, because there is a ritual that a baseball player will have on the road, and you know, certain time they get up, go have breakfast, whatever the case may be, and
just want to get lost a little bit when you go on the road.
Yeah. And come back home, and a lot of family and friends requesting your time, which is to be expected.
I think what you do is you end up treating a trip like that, maybe back to your college town or back to see your family, you treat that as a home game, really, and just change your expectations.
3-2.
And in some ways it is a home game for Ryan Howard. A lot of fans still here in St. Louis have been overjoyed with what he's become as a major leaguer.
3-2 pitch to Colby. Out of play.
From Lafayette High School to all-star, elite level player.
Well, I know that in the offseason, Ryan Howard, Albert Pujols, Kyle McClellan, handful of other guys all work out, play catch, throw, BP, those kind of things. A 3-2 pitch. Matt Holliday now living full-time in St. Louis. Slowly hit, and Rasmus out. Sends us to the ninth, and it's 10-2 Phillies.
Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, Pat Paris will be with Al Roboski and Ricky Horton. A rough night for the bullpen, Tony TV, and life without Albert. All that and more after the game, and we go back to the booth and Dan and Rick.
Okay, Jim, thank you. It didn't seem like Jim was really selling it that hard. I mean, he's, I think, a little disappointed with the score.
Well, I think, yeah, I think a lot of fans are disappointed with the score.
But he's got to sell that.
Well, I know. Well, we'll talk to Jim about that.
You and Al and Jim, Pat.
Well, we're going to talk about what went wrong. We're going to break it down a little bit. And
so what do you do in these post games?
Be interesting to hear Al's comments. Of course, we also hear the manager's comments as well as the players' comments, and those are outstanding to hear, and they give us great access to them.
Jim, are you with us?
Yeah, I owe Ricky and Al and Pat an apology if I didn't sell it. I felt like I was, but that was a long half inning.
It was a long half
exactly.
inning.
I'm with you, Cat. I'm with you.
All right.
I just wasn't sure if there's a lot of oomph behind that, you know. Coming up next, you don't want to miss it. Sell it. I'll be along with. I'll have news on.
Well, what you always do appreciate the post game, and I've of course been around that for a number of years, is it's always interesting to hear how Tony will frame what happened, and he's going to talk about the decisions and the questions, and it is always worth the price of admission just to hear what Tony has to say. Not to mention Pat and Al and I. We might say something good too.
I can't wait to hear what you guys bring to the table tonight. I will be locked in.
Oh, that's selling it.
I want you to sell it. Here's Ben Francisco, the 0-2 pitch.
We have seen a great display tonight, Dan, of the difference between good baseball and bad baseball in the same night. A crisp game, played quickly, good defense, pitchers getting ahead, throwing strikes. And then we saw the opposite for just one half inning, and you could just feel the difference in terms of the excitement level of this game.
So 2 outs, nobody on. We'll be in the Champions Club tomorrow. We always enjoy doing that.
Oh, it's awesome. So much fun. Always a ton of people up there. It's just a great place to view a Cardinal game, and the all-inclusive area there with the food is outstanding, and we get a chance to partake a bit. We'll be taking time off, you, Dan, and Al, to go kind of mingle with everybody, and just really look forward to that.
Yeah, it's always fun. The fans are gracious and always very nice to us, and nice to mingle with them. And that area is huge. The Champions Club, they knocked out a bunch of the walls a couple of years ago for private suites and just made it one big all-inclusive area. Different stations for food and the bar areas, flat screen TVs. So we'll be there tomorrow night.
And I'm still holding out for 7 bloops and a blast in the bottom of the 9th.
You're not holding your breath, I hope, like you were talking about in the top of the 8th.
No, I'm not.
See you turning purple again.
I might try it.
The 2-2 pitch. You and Al ever get into it on these post games where
we disagree some?
You just say, "Hey,"
and Cal Elder tonight. Yeah,
let's arm wrestle.
No, we don't actually go to fisticuffs.
Let's get physical. I want to see.
No. It's just a little verbal repartee. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes Jim Hayes and I get after it, and we know sometimes Al and Jim go after it. Part of the fun of it. Everybody's entitled to an opinion.
I'd like to see it get physical one night. I really would. Why not?
Spike the ratings.
Oh, you bet.
I'll see if I can make that happen.
Bring in the fight doctor.
Might be tonight.
Get a cut man. Be like Guns and Hoses.
I sometimes play a doctor on that, you know.
I've seen. You've also, didn't you go into the future one time? I was Dr. Rick, and then
Rick to the Future. Yeah.
Rick, yeah. My personal favorite though was when you were Rapunzel or something. What were you?
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. That's what it was. You dressed up as Shakespeare, and didn't you?
I read a Cardinal sonnet.
Is that when you thought you made it? You thought, this is it. This is awesome. Where did they get the outfit?
You know, I really don't know, Dan. That was beyond my.
Now, was it a full outfit or just
on a need-to-know basis? I don't know.
Michael Martinez with 2 outs. Carlos Ruiz, first career 4-hit night.
And a walk to boot.
Yep. Our Budweiser player of the game. Slowly hit to the right side. And bobbled by Molina. Inning is extended. And error on Yadier Molina.
Almost like he was trying to flip it a little bit too soon.
You know what's unfortunate about that is that, you know, some of the voters will just look and say, well, he had this many errors, or and that one, you know, not many are going to research it enough to say, oh, that was one at first.
Yeah.
And not behind the plate.
Just as Alberts had some errors at third.
Lindbergh's Josh Outman got Oakland's win over the Mets tonight. St. Louis product. Pitch at 98 from Cueto. And it's 3-0 with 2 outs and runners at first and second.
There almost reaches a time when you are the team on the positive side of this kind of game where you start to say, hey, I'd be okay with a line drive right at somebody. Not if you're the one at the plate necessarily, but you almost recognize that this game is in hand here, and
it's hard to hear you say that after what we saw the entire night and how well this was pitched with Halladay.
Well, but then you realize what the game's become.
And McClellan. Bases loaded.
When you stay competitive as a player, Victorino's coming to the plate to try to hit the ball. I mean, there's no doubt he's going to try to hit the ball hard somewhere, but if you're a Philly, you need 14 runs today.
Victorino is 1 for 4. Single walk, couple of runs scored. What you thought of that slider from Cueto?
That's a pretty good one right there.
Yes.
He's made some quality pitches in this inning. Just not enough of them.
Prior to tonight, the Cardinals had really shut down that offense of the Phillies, but tonight the 10 runs, the last 6 games 10. Two balls and 1 strike. He may get to 14. No, that's going to stay in the ballpark.
Had a premonition.
Herndon is in, the right-hander for the Phillies. David Herndon
20th appearance, and he'll come in with a lead of 10-2 in favor of the Phillies.
And we mentioned it, Dan, but really a shame because this was a fantastic ball game through 7 innings. But to see Roy Halladay, maybe not at his best, but he was pretty good, and Kyle McClellan was outstanding, matching him inning for inning. Cardinals scored that run in the 5th inning so long ago when Ryan Theriot bounced, grounded to the left side. Polanco couldn't get it out of his glove, was able to just get one instead of a double play, and we thought maybe that run would hold up for a while.
Down the right field line, slicing foul.
Phillies finally got that run in the 7th inning against McClellan to tie it, and that is where it became a bullpen game. And unfortunately, the Cardinals bullpen has just absolutely imploded here tonight. A 9-run 8th inning.
0-2. And a strikeout of Molina.
First 5 batters in the Cardinals order, no hits. Descalzo in the 7 spots, 2 for 2, walk and a run scored. Nice night for him. Some bragging rights with his buddies that he hit Roy Halladay so well.
Yeah, 2 for 2. Picked up a double off the third base bag earlier. And the 1-0 pitch. Michael Clado will be the final hope for St. Louis.
Cardinals are out of position players. I'm sure when Michael Clado woke up this morning, his first thought was not, I'm going to be batting with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th.
And the Cardinals down to their final strike. And that should do it. That's the ball game. Clado called out on strikes, and game 1 is in the books. It goes to the Phillies, a 9-run top of the 8th for Philadelphia.
Again, a frustrating game. The Cardinal bullpen just didn't get it done. The Phillies take game 1. Very frustrating night for many, many faithful Cardinal fans here at the ballpark.
So coming up next, it's the postgame show. Pat Paris, Jim Hayes, Rick and Al. 10-2 our final.